Hey everyone, welcome to another XDP Manufacturer Q&A. We're here with Ryan and we're going to talk about the ATS 68RFE Billet Channel Plate Valve Body with Solenoid. What are some of the issues with the 68RFE?
You know, that's kind of one of those where do I start questions. The 68 RFE has been installed behind the Commons since 07 and a half, and we still have them to current. They started life as a 1989 Dodge Caravan transmission, like a transaxle one. Actually, the parts are interchangeable. The parts are actually interchangeable from your diesel truck into the 42 and the 45, which are the Jeep and the Hemi applications. So it really wasn't a transmission that was built to be behind the type of torque and horsepower that a Cummins can provide. So a lot of items need to be upgraded in the 68 to live behind that amount of horsepower, the first of which being this valve body.
What are some of the benefits that this valve body can provide over the stock unit?
So the stock unit is going to be physically limited to provide the type of pressure, the line pressure, to the clutch pack itself. So to kind of explain that a little bit better, I'm sure you've heard of guys like saying, oh, just tune your transmission. So transmissions either have mechanical valve bodies or they'll have like a solenoid driven one like this. And so the oiling passages can be as big as you want, and you can certainly ask the TCM to put as much line pressure as you want to the clutch packs, but until the valve body is actually physically changed, you aren't actually going to get that pressure to the pack. You're only going to get to maybe about 170 PSI. This valve body, however, gets you up to 290 PSI to the packs themselves. There's other upgrades we put in here to prevent cross leaks in the accumulator body, in the billet channel plate, and we also test all the solenoids before they go out as well, which is an industry first.
What's the importance of having a properly functioning valve body?
Well, Sal, the valve body is basically the brain of your transmission. As I mentioned earlier, you have mechanical valve bodies and you have solenoid-driven ones. All the solenoid-driven valve bodies are going to be in a transmission that's clutch to clutch. So you have clutch on, clutch off. To create a shift, you have to have two clutches engaged at one time, right? So what ends up happening is when you come out of one gear, one clutch comes off, and then another clutch applies, you've got a shift. The valve body controls all of that timing. And so if you have any kind of hydraulic failure in the valve body, a cross leak, bad gasket, or even like a solenoid sticking or something like that, you're going to have issues with shifting, bind-ups, flares, and more than likely or not, you're going to take out your transmission if you don't have a good working valve body in there.
Can you explain a little more about how the ATS CoPilot works?
Sure, love to. As I mentioned before, line pressure is important as far as keeping those clutches held together, and then clutch timing, the valve body is important for not having cross leaks or any hydraulic failures. The CoPilot, it really is kind of the conductor of the symphony. What it can do is it can engage your torque converter. It can keep some of the partial applies away, which is going to have less heat in your transmission, but then it also will guide line pressure based on boost. So it's a load-based computer that hooks into your valve body. It looks at TPS, it looks at boost pressure, and will make sure that the truck is applying the right kind of line pressure and the right kind of torque converter control as you drive it. It has adjustable settings based on whether you're towing, whether you're at a drag strip, whatever you want to do with your truck. It's going to have the kind of shift characteristics that you're looking for.
What comes in the box for folks ready to pull the trigger and buy today?
So what we have here today is an assembly of many parts. We can sell you individual parts of this completed valve body, but the way we like to take these to consumers is going to be as a dyno tested, ready to go item. It's got a 5-year, 500,000 mile warranty, which is industry leading. But the solenoids get tested separately in our state-of-the-art solenoid tester. The valve body itself gets done all together. We have a heat exchanger, so we can actually kind of change like functional drive characteristics, so it can see if the transmission is getting hot, if it's getting cold, if the solenoid will work, if the accumulator bodies are sticking or not. And that way we know when we send it out, it's a fully done, ready to go valve body, ready for your truck today.
So can you break down the way that this channel plate valve body is broken up and how ATS offers it?
Sure, Sal. So like I said earlier, this is an accumulation of many parts. You can purchase the channel plate by itself. The reason we do a billet channel plate is the original factory casting tends to warp with the heat inside of a transmission over time. We were for some time able to machine those flat because it work hardens and it doesn't really warp more after that, but the cores are getting so bad these days that we can't even machine them anymore. Another fix that's been in the market for a while has been thicker gaskets and a stiff stiffening separator plate. That's where we do all the magic with the oiling passages, where we make the larger orifices so you can actually get all of the line pressure down to the clutch pack. So you can buy that as by itself as a kit as well. So you could buy the channel plate, you could buy the gaskets with the stiffener plate by itself, but then you can also buy the accumulator kit by itself as well. We do a billet piston with dual Viton O-rings, but if you buy it all together, you're going to have cross-hatched bores in here, so you're going to keep the oiling surface nice and lubricated, so you're not going to get any blow-by. You're going to get everything torqued to the proper specs. You're going to get the solenoid pack tested ahead of time, and then everything's going to be dyno tested in our valve body tester. That's why we get a 5-year, 500,000-mile warranty.
Well, that's going to wrap things up for today. A huge thanks to Ryan for coming out and getting us up to speed on the ATS 68RFE Billet channel plate valve body. Find out more and get one for yourself at XDP.com, and we'll see you next time.